How great would it be to get up close and personal with the beauty industry heroes we love and admire, and to ask them, how did you learn to do what you do? I'm Chris Baran, a hairstylist and educator for 40 plus years, and I'm inviting all our heroes to chat and share the secrets of their success. Well, my friends, here we are again, chatting away one more time on Headcases, and from me to you, welcome. Today's guest was a salon owner with a diamond anniversary, that being 25 years in the business. He's also the Director of Business and Leadership Development for the Salon 124 group out of Atlanta, Georgia. And that company has multiple salons with over 200 team members, a cosmetology school, and over $11 million in annual sales. He's an eternal education junkie, a John Maxwell certified speaker, educator, and an amazing coach. He also co-founded the industry-leading Shop Talk podcast and co-founded 124 Go Salon and Spa Business Academy. Now, I have to say this, John has so much value to share, and whether you're an owner or you're just starting out in the industry, you don't want to miss this candid, heartfelt talk on everything from leadership to establishing great working relationships within the salon. He's a new bestie of mine, so let's get into this week's Headcase, Mr. John Palmieri. John, we just met a few months ago.
We did.
I mean, I know of you, and you may have heard of me before, whatever. But we just met a few months ago. But we've had a few great calls, and I just really feel connected to you on the last, from the times that we've had to spend together. So I just want to say, welcome to Headcases. It's great to have you on here.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be part of your show today. So. I'm excited to see what happens next, because I don't think either one of us knows.
Well, I know you're always asking all the questions, so
right.
Now you're in the hot seat. So I can have permission, because I want to talk a little bit of motorcycle porn to you right away.
Listen, my favorite topic. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to use a word here.
Yeah.
And I want you to imagine it.
Okay.
1971 Moto Guzzi V7 Teleo Rosso.
Listen,
stop. If you want to have a cigarette,
done. I have to go home now.
If you want to have a cigarette, anything like that right now. But
I have two in the garage, right?
You two of those?
I've not two of those. I have a 1991 Sport, and I got a 2003 Rosa Corsa.
Oh my God!
11s.
Well, just for the people that are listening and watching right now, so you know what I mean. Teleo Rosso means the red frame, and it recently, I don't know if it was last year or this year, but it sold for that's a 1971, and it sold in auction for $95,000.
Wow!
So now that we've got porn out of the way,
now we got that done. Yeah.
Now let's segue into business from now.
All right, if we have to. Yeah.
If we have to, we'll have a drink sometime and have more interesting conversations about motorcycles, etc. Because I've got a few that I could share. I'm sure as you do as well.
All right, perfect.
But and the reason that I wanted to have you on here is because let's face it. I always feel if we can go right to the SMEs that are in the world, the subject matter experts, and I know that, and I people already have heard your intro, and you really have a great way around business and a great way around leadership. And I know you and I had a conversation about this a while back, and we really talked about it. And if I had to ask you, what is one of the biggest problems that you see in our industry right now?
This may sound silly, but I think the biggest challenge we have right now is we spend way too much time trying to compare ourselves to others.
Yeah.
Talk about something that'll just take the wind right out of your sails, right?
Yeah, but you know what? That's true, isn't it? I know that. And if you're an owner that's listening, or a stylist that's listening, or even a student, somehow I think it's a cultural thing. Wouldn't you agree that it's a cultural thing that, and maybe that's just my opinion, but and it's okay if you disagree, but I think that there's always this comparison that we have in our society where we're seen really as leaders or as winners per se,
Right.
if you're doing things good, and they don't seem to appreciate you if you're making a mistake or doing thing wrong, when that actually just the part of learning.
Right.
But I really agree with you that it's really about half of the time is if you're comparing yourself on Instagram or whatever, it's just like we're not looking at ourselves authentically. Can you talk to just like what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think the challenge is, whether we're comparing ourselves to the person in the chair or the table next to us, right?
Yeah.
Whether
Yeah.
we're comparing ourselves to the salon and spa down the street, whether we're comparing ourselves, I'm gonna be silly if I can for a minute, we get these little charts to talk about, the ratings for our podcast, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes the podcast that we have will be ranked high, sometimes higher than yours. And then there are other days I look at it and I go, "Oh, Chris's podcast is ahead of ours," and I'm like, "Dang it! How did that happen?" Right?
Yeah,
But-
we're all susceptible to the comparison.
Right, but
part,
talk
though, isn't
about
it?
talk about unhealthy comparison. Where I'm spending all my time looking at where Chris Baran is, right? When I should be doing, which is exactly what we are doing, which is instead of comparing ourselves, let's work together, let's collaborate,
exactly.
right?
Bingo.
Because this is an industry where we've got so much more in common than we don't, right?
Yeah.
And, we've got kind of wrapped up in this competitive nature of that's my customer, or that's my customer, or whatever silliness we have, we forget that the real power is doing stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
Being able to work with each other and collaborate.
Yeah, I think that I agree 100%. And I think it's perpetuated being our industry. And I'm not sure if we're getting better or worse at it, but I can remember times even when we would travel on the road. If you were, if as a salon, if you associated with yourself as a brand, then you would go to like-minded people that use that brand. When it's not necessarily where you're going to learn the most. They know generally what you are, and sometimes going to and for those of you that are not watching right now, I'm going to use the proverbial air quotes, which means sarcasm, it's sometimes that you're going to learn more just from the people down the street. And if you can have friendly competitive relationships, you are businesses competing, but you can still be friendly. You can still share. You can still, have meetings together. What's working for you? What's working for me? And so on.
Yeah. Since when did winning have to be at the expense of somebody else losing?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We can win every day, right? Whether it's working on the podcast, whether we're working with coaching, whether we're working in the salon environment that I work in, and the same thing with you. Why can't we all win? I'm a big fan of a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yep.
And I know it's an overused phrase, but I sincerely believe it, right?
Yeah.
How do I help you? What do you need? What can I do to make you better? Because I know just in that alone, I'm better.
Yeah. It's really interesting, and I always say that every time I do one of these, and let's face it, you have a podcast, I have a podcast, doesn't mean we're competitors, but I just learned something from you, and I want to say thank you. And maybe you can even guide me if I'm being a little misrepresented by things that hit me just right now.
Yeah.
Because often what we do when we talk about winning, we use sport analogies.
Right.
And I know I do it. One of my basketball heroes was Michael Jordan, and it was always about things that, how he did those superhuman feats, but always at the expense of the other team losing. So I'm just wondering, is that a right thing to do? And that's what I'm questioning myself on right now.
Well, I think that we forget that, what we do for a living is not a sport. It's a craft. It's an art, right?
Yeah.
What we do isn't warfare, right? I think some of us look at it that way, but it's not. And if you look at all great artists over time, the artist that is the most influential now built his or her career and her art off of somebody who came before them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Yeah.
You look at all the great artists and it's like, who influenced you? Who influenced you? Who influenced you? Right? And when you start looking at who influenced you and not who did I take advantage of or who did I beat,
Yeah.
right? Then I think that's a different way to look at business. And it, at the risk of being grandiose, it's a different way of looking at life, right?
Yeah. And the word I just wrote down there, I just wrote down the word abundance. And it's interesting how within our industry, and I'm not going to say everybody because I don't want to paint everybody with the same brush, but it's funny how we have people in our industry that will come from a world of abundance, meaning there's enough for everybody.
Yep.
And other people just come from scarcity, meaning I don't want to give anything away. I don't want to share any of my secrets, and it's, again, my sarcastic air quotes.
Right.
That people don't want to share something. And I've talked about this in one other one, but it's so meaningful to me. I just think it bears saying again. I can remember being at a hair show, avant-garde hair show, and there was this young kid that came around and wanted to see how did we make these pieces. And I brought him in and I showed him every piece and I showed him how they were made and let him play with them and pick them up. And he said to me this, which really hit me, that, he said, I went to every other person that did an avant-garde presentation and they wouldn't even let me in the room. They said everything that we do is a secret.
Wow.
And I've always thought that, and I'm not smart enough to think of this on my own, but some teacher, some person that gave me a lesson one time said that, if you hold a secret near to you or a thought near to you, an idea near to you, you'll get cluttered and the universe will not give you another idea.
Yeah. No, I'm a firm believer in the same thing. I think one of the challenges we have when we don't want to share, right, because it's proprietary or because it's an original idea, first of all, no, it's not, right?
Yeah.
Most ideas come from inspiration from someplace, regardless of where, right? But one of the things that I acknowledge is you're going to deliver what you're going to deliver the way Chris Baran delivers it. And I am either going to find value in it or not.
Exactly.
Let's talk about podcasts. I get a podcast, but my podcast, we talk about the same thing. We talk about the beauty industry, right?
Yeah.
We maybe even have the same guests, but there are people that are going to be attracted to the way that you deliver the message. And there are going to be people who are attracted to the way I deliver the message.
Exactly.
So we get so caught up in the what, and we forget it's the how that makes the difference, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to just shift gears here just a little bit, and because we've been talking about abundance and the ability to share, et cetera. But and I'm going to put it this way: we've had some really interesting conversations, and I wondering if the word that I'm going to bring up, leadership, is leadership, and what our opinion of it is. There's so many myths that are running around in our industry. Is what we have of leadership, is it a myth? Is it a buzzword? Is it misunderstanding? Because there's so many people that talk about leadership, and what I don't mean from a subject matter expert like you, but I mean people in our industry that just use a blanket statement about a leader or leadership. Well, what's your take?
I'm going to go down a rabbit hole if it's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things that I think when we talk about leadership is we think that means how do I become a stronger boss? How do I become more authoritarian? How do I get people to listen to me more, right?
Yeah.
And that's not leadership. I'm not even quite sure what that is, but it's not leadership. Yeah. One of my favorite people to quote is John Maxwell, and he says, John Maxwell says that leadership is influence, right? And what I love about that quote is it's not about telling people what to do. It's not about bossing them around. It's how do I influence people to do what's best for themselves. Hopefully that turns into something that's good for our company as well, right?
Yeah.
But that's the real question we should be asking is how do I become a more potent influencer, right? Yeah. How do, having my team do what I tell them to do I'm sorry, but that's easy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And as long as I'm in the room, it'll come true. The challenge happens is when you leave the room, right?
Yeah.
When you're no longer there to browbeat them, when you're no longer there to oversee them, micromanage them, give them a hard time, pick a thing, right?
Yeah.
I want my influence to last well after I've left the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it's interesting because I think that comes from a place of negativity as well, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of leading through negativity.
No, and neither am I. I don't think none of us like to be led that way. So
Right.
I don't know how any of us can figure that we're going to get better action out of someone by doing
Right.
the same thing. You know, and it's like negativity and fear-based influences is, you know, at least from what I understand about from Maslow and then how Hertzberg restudied it,
Sure.
was he said that fear is a motivator, but a very short motivator, for a very short time, because you're finally going to go, yeah, you know, like, you know, fuchsia you.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna move on and find a place where I feel wanted and so on. So
Right.
yeah, so I love where you're going, and I think that I know it can. And here's another question, because
Yeah.
I'm starting to question some of my beliefs on this as well. Is I hear people use the word subordinate. Is that positive? Is it negative? Is it I mean, it's a corporate term,
Yeah.
but if you use that term, how what do you feel about that?
I think we undervalue the importance of vocabulary,
Yeah.
right? Because we'll use, for an example, the difference between influence and leadership, right?
Yeah.
Leadership brings all the connotations that, whether positive or negative, that we've brought to it through our lifetime, right? And influence is a different animal, right?
Yeah.
Influence is, generally speaking, when I think of influence, I think of positive things, right?
Yeah.
Who are the people that have influenced me? Now, have I had negative influences in my life? Of course I have. We all have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're a teenager, right? Yet somewhere along the line, you decide to let those influences go and focus on the positive ones, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so when I say something like subordinate, I mean, it just doesn't even sound good coming out of my mouth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that if we're going to collaborate, if we're going to support each other, if all rising tide lifts all boats, then the word is mentor, right?
Yeah,
How do
yeah.
I mentor others, right? How do I support others, right? I'd rather be your mentor than you be subordinate to me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'd rather be an influencer for you than someone who oversees you, right?
Yeah.
And I know it sounds real silly. I think at the surface level, it's like, well, we're getting into this language. It's a little too PC and all that crap. No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is being intentional with your language, right? Do I mean subordinate or do I mean mentorship? Do I mean authoritative or do I mean influence, right? Because that's going to have my reaction to you is going to be completely different when I know that we're using a different vocabulary.
Yeah. I did. We had a podcast, and I'll give you this. I think somebody probably should have on yours as well. Is Celine Dupuis, and she was talking about how, from a salon owner leadership role, and she wasn't necessarily talking about leadership, but she talked about how important it was for her to make sure that not only were people skill based in what they were doing, but she really believes and spends a lot of time on personal development as well. So it's a twofold thing, isn't it? It's really about how you can help to develop the people that you're working with personally, as well as just skill.
Well, you know, interesting side story. Once upon a time, I had an employee that I worked with, and with love and respect, he wasn't the greatest hairdresser in the world, right? But he would make a personal connection with each and every guest that came in the door, right? And one day a client had come in and did a terrible job on their haircut. I mean, I'll just be honest, right? And the receptionist came over and said, John, so-and-so's on the phone. She had a really bad experience. So-and-so cut her hair. She wants to come back in. And I was like, oh. So I go over to the phone. I'm talking to the guest. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah. And it was like, when do you want to come in? Would you like me to fix your hair? Or, get a couple of other people. She says, oh, no. I want to see the original stylist. And in my head, I'm like, but why? He jacked up your hair, and you're calling me up to tell me how bad it is. And she goes, yeah, but he's just so nice and so much fun.
Yeah.
We think that the value is in the haircut or the massage or the facial. Of course there's value there. I paid for it. Yeah. But the true value is in the connection we make as people, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's always interesting when I work with younger stylists and they're struggling with retention or struggling with building a client base, right? And I always ask this question, and the interesting part is they always know the answer.
Yeah.
Like without fail. And I'll say, is it a technical skill or is it your people skills? And every single time, even if they've only been doing hair for 6 months, they'll say, it's my technical skills. Yeah. I don't know how to do a balayage. Or they'll say, no, it's my people skills. I really don't know how to talk to people. I'm shy. They know. People know the answer to the question, is it my technical skills? Is it my people skills? And I don't know where the survey is, but I think the last time I read a like survey about the relationship between technical skills and people skills, it's 80% people, 20% technical.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just like when you go to your doctor. I've been to doctors before. Mm-hmm. They've got the same background. They have the same skills. But when they make me feel like I'm a human being that they really enjoy and they're looking after, right, and they care about me, then they've got me for life. Yeah. And and that's the interesting part is maybe it's just because I'm Canadian. We don't, I know that we live in a litigious society in Canada and here. Sure. But, like in Canada, you're not going to get anything more than maybe a combine or a canoe, a couple goats. But I think that the last thing, like Canadian, I don't think that, like to the point, she didn't want to sue. She didn't want to see somebody else. She just didn't like her hair, but wanted to go back to the same person. It's like if I go to a doctor, and I this doctor that I absolutely love, her name is Amy, and we call her by her first name, not Dr. Amy. It's by Amy. We have a relationship. And if she makes a mistake on something or doesn't keep, has to move an appointment, I don't get pissed off. I want Amy. Yeah. My wife is the same way. She was going to this physical therapy place, but she wants the lady she wants. And if she can't get somebody else, she won't go. Right. Yeah. So it's really interesting, because we've spent so much of our time thinking that we've got to keep training ourselves on technical, and we do. I'm not saying that's not true. The more you can have both, the better you are. But I really believe that it is really about the personal development that people have at the same time.
Well, think what happens if you can put both of those together, right? If you can ramp up your technical skills and be the best stylist in town, and you've got the people skills that make you highly likable and people want to wait for you, that's a magic recipe, right? And now here's the struggle, right? So let's get back to the leadership part. How do I influence people to help them get there? Yeah. Right? How does that happen? Because that's the question.
The interesting part is like, I just find it really interesting when it comes to leadership that it's, and we're kind of back to square one where we talked about boss, where we think that everything is horizontal. I mean, we can talk about it in leadership where there's a vertical leadership. I'm above you, and I have somebody else above me, and I don't want to. I want people that are, say, if you're a stylist and you just started a place, I want you still think about leadership because you're still a leader as well. Right. Now, can you talk to just a little bit about the difference between people that are vertical and think vertically in the influence that they have versus the people that think more like you do, that is horizontal, that we're all equal, but still being a leader in there. Can you just talk to that point?
Well, I think, there's two different things happening there, if I may.
Yeah.
There's leadership and there's management, two separate things,
Got it.
right? And management is the management of things, of processes, of systems,
Yeah.
right? That is hierarchical, right?
Yeah.
Meaning, as the COO of a company, you have management tasks that are specific to you, right?
Yeah.
As the director of inventory, right? You've
Yeah.
got management tasks that are specific to you. And the challenge is we mix up management with leadership, right? In fact, I often say that on my management days, let me rechange that. On my leadership days, because they're distinctly different days,
Yeah.
I get nothing done.
Yeah.
Literally nothing. And my leadership days is, as you said, horizontal, because I'm spending my time connecting with people.
Yeah.
That's not a task, right? It's not something to check off my list. It's not hierarchical, like I can only talk to these people, I can't talk to those people, right?
Yeah.
If I'm leading people, it is not task-oriented. It's relationship building, and that's not on a checklist.
Yeah.
If I'm having management days that have something to do with my role in a company, right? Wherever I fit on the org chart, we're going to be real corporate, right? My org chart brings certain responsibilities that I must attend to. Leadership isn't on that list like that. It's not a check off this thing.
Yeah.
And I think we as owners, right, of businesses, and we kind of raise to a certain level, we're managing and leading at the same time, and we think they're the same thing, and they're not. They're two completely separate tasks.
Yeah. And first of all, 100% agreed. So let me kind of shift from one to the other right now.
Yeah.
So and I want people to think about this, and I'm going to shift back to this because I want people that are stylists, or if you're a student listening to this, can you first just define in the briefest sense, because I know that you're a certified speaker with John Maxwell, and John Maxwell's his positions on leadership, and meaning that people often think that there's a leader. Well, if you're a leader, you have to have followers, right?
Yep.
Can you just speak to that from a management sense? If people need followers, and we know that there's a very limited range on whether I want to follow you or not, or I've been forced to follow you,
right?
How would you first of all define it so people can get it quickly, and then how do you fit that in management when you might have to be like, there's some things that you have to really hold people to accountability with?
Yeah.
I know that was a mouthful.
Yeah, there's a lot there. So I'm going to kind of dissect it, and we'll chop it up in pieces, right?
Yeah.
I think one of the things we have to have a mindset shift when it comes to leadership, and that we need more followers. What we actually need to do is create more leaders, right?
Bingo.
So shifting that right off the bat. So as a leader within our company, my job is not to get people to follow me, right? My job is to create more leaders. In fact, that's one of my roles in this company, is I create leadership development for our company. Why? Because I can all day long, John's the boss of this or John's the boss of that, we got to do what he tells us, or I create other leaders, and as such, I'm a mentor. Right?
Yeah.
If I'm creating more leaders, I'm creating more opportunity within our company for people to grow, right? And so as a leader, I'm not trying to create more followers, I'm trying to create more opportunity. I'm going to go off on a tangent, but play with me for a minute.
Yeah, I will.
One of the things that I think often comes up for salon and spa owners is this concept of making money, making a profit, right? And we're almost afraid to say the word out loud. Hey, the company made a profit this year. Because the fear is our staff thinks we're pulling the minivan up to the back of the building at the end of every night and shoveling in a boatload of cash, right? I never have a challenge shying away from profitability. And here's the reason why. Profitability to me means opportunity. The more profitability that we have, the more leaders we can create, because we'll have the money to pay them. The more profitability we have opportunity to build new locations. We have the opportunity to expand our education programs. To me, profitability equals opportunity. And why I bring that up is, as a leader, creating more leaders is creating more opportunity, right? And that's what I want to do. How do I provide more opportunity for the people here? That in itself, you create followers, not because you're purposeful about it, but because you've created all these leaders along the way, right?
And
then
they want to
turn,
follow. They want to follow then.
but because now you're a person of value in their life.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
If I choose to follow you because you add value to my life, that's a different dynamic, as opposed to you have to because I have the title or I signed your check, right?
I bet we have something in common. I have this love-hate relationship. I hate paying for something that I'm not using. I hate working in a small, cramped box, yet I love working in a cool salon that impresses my clients, and I love the culture and synergy of a team while enjoying the freedom of being my own boss. You too? What if all that was available to you at the salon you rent from? Meet Artist on Go, a game-changing way to rent salon space. With Artist on Go, you only pay for the time you're behind the chair. You can choose a salon that fits your vibe, location, and amenities. With Artist on Go, you're a part of a stylist community, not hustling alone. Plus, you get to enjoy perks like clean towels and back bar supplies. Check out Artist on Go, built for stylists serious about their clients and growing their brand without the hassles of managing a space. Here's the kicker. You can save more than 50% on your rent. To find out more, go to bit.ly/artistongocb. That's bit.ly/artistongocb. I've been guilty of this.
Sure.
As a salon owner, years and years and years back, before I understood the dynamic, as you so aptly put in this. But there's so many bosses that figure, I pay you, therefore you should be loyal to me. When that actually has nothing to do with it. They did a service and you're paying for that service, just the same way as a plumber came in and fixed your house, you'd have to pay them. So, define a little bit, or give us a little bit more about, I love where you're going about the value of helping people to grow versus you did a job, I took in the money, and I pay you a portion of that. So can you talk to that a bit?
Let's kind of twist this a little bit. One of the things that we practice within our company is something called servant leadership. And yes, it's something that John Maxwell teaches. I think servant leadership sometimes gets misdefined because I think many people think that it means being a doormat. And that's not the case. Accountability is a big part of leadership. If you're going to be a good leader, you need to hold people accountable, because leadership is also about coaching. Coaching holds people accountable. It's why you have a coach. Listen, I know how to cut hair. I know how to do a lot of things, but I look for coaches who can make me better. How do they make me better? By holding me accountable to the things I said I was going to do, or the process I was going to take. So a servant leader, what does good leadership looks like? Quick example, I'm going to talk fast because I want to make this story as short as I can. Walking through a salon, met one of our stylists. They said, hey, John, I'm struggling. Can you give me some coaching? Sure, I'd love to. Went in the back room, sat down, looked at her numbers. She's like, I'm really struggling here and I don't know what to do. And my question is, well, Elle was her name. I said, Elle, what are you looking for? She's like, well, I'm really looking to move out of my grandmother's basement. I said, excuse me? She goes, well, I just moved here from California. I live in my grandmother's basement. I'd really like to get out of the basement. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you need to get out of the basement? She needs, I need $600 more a month. And I said, okay, so you need $300 a pay period because we pay every 2 weeks. She said, yes. I said, well, what are you doing about it? She says, well, I've been passing out referral cards. I'm trying to get new clients. I got about, I'm doing about 50 to 60 clients a month, but it's slow slogging and I can't seem to get there and blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, what if we did this? What's your average ticket? Our average ticket was $102, right? It was pretty good. So what if we did this? What if we got your average ticket from 102, did the math real quick, and it had to be $126? What if we got your average ticket to $126? Because if we do that, you'll have $600 more a month.
Yeah.
And she says, well, how do I do that? And I said, well, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this, and you can do that. Your choice. Here's 4 different options. Month and a half goes by, 2 months, walking through the building. Hey, John, have you seen my numbers? And, I didn't. I neglected to. And I said, no, I didn't. I said, how's your average ticket? She goes, it's $138. Right?
Yeah.
She doesn't live in her grandmother's basement anymore. Servant leadership is finding out what your team wants, because when you help them get what they want, you get what you want.
Yeah.
Because here's the flip. The flip is, as an owner or a manager, Chris, we got to get your average ticket up. Come on, Chris, we got to get your average ticket up.
Yeah.
Chris, come on, let's get your average ticket up. What do I have to do? You know what? I'm going to write you up. You know what? You're not going to get a promotion. Your average ticket isn't where it needs to be. Blah, 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 blah. Talk about, I don't want to work for you. But if Chris comes to me and says, what are you looking for in your life? What are you trying to do? And somebody can say to me, I want to move out of my grandmother's basement, and I help them get out of their grandmother's basement, I'm a freaking genius.
Yeah.
Right? That's what true leadership looks like. Let me help you get what you want. And it's not a transactional relationship, but intellectually I know that if I help you get what you want, my company succeeds.
You know what I absolutely love that you just did there? Mm-hmm. Like I say, I love these podcasts. Mm-hmm. And everybody thinks, well, Chris is doing this for the betterment of people. And that is true, but I do it because I learn so much every time that I'm with this. And there's a part that I'm seeing, when you drive, when you have a new place that you're going to for your home or your work, and you drive there and one way, and it's a new city, and then all of a sudden you say, well, that road's blocked, so I got to go somewhere else and find new landmarks, new things.
Right.
And I find another way to get to the place I was going, and all of a sudden I'm going, oh my God, now I see where I am in this big mecca chart that I'm at, this map where I'm at, and I understand more. And I think what you said is, I've always believed that, mentorship is hugely different than coaching. And again, just my opinion.
No,
because I think often mentorship, like the example you just gave with grandma's basement, was you didn't know what her answer was.
No clue.
But you didn't know what the answer was. But like you said earlier, she just didn't know it. Mm-hmm. And all you had to do as that leader, that influence, that you had to give her paths to think about and ask her questions. Mm-hmm. And then grab on your numbers hat that you know about so much and just say, hey, look at it. What if you did X, Y, Z? So thank you, because you helped me shift locations and see even a bigger picture on the word mentorship.
Yeah,
so,
because in the end, isn't that what, remember, I said this in the very beginning, but I'm a firm believer in it. A rising tide lifts all boats. Yep. How do I help you rise?
Yeah.
Because if I'm surrounded by people who are all on the way up, right, it becomes infectious, right? And then those folks who are maybe falling behind a little bit, right, when they see everybody else around them rising, and not because they're better, but because they're just putting the time, effort, and energy in, it makes you want to put the time, effort, and energy in, because you know it's going to have a positive result.
Yeah,
right?
True. And and I think that sometimes that rising tide, like your example is about, just because they saw somebody that was, and I'm going to use some words here that not be correct, so I hope everybody will forgive me for this, failing or lacking or falling behind or whatever the proper word is, and all of a sudden they see them doing it, and they go, the hell did you do? Well, I just had a talk with my influencer, my manager, my leader, my coach, my mentor. And then they'll say, well, if you did it for you, can they do it for me?
Yeah.
You see it? And I think that back to abundance.
Yep, that's the abundance piece. That's the part that creates influence.
Yep.
And a side note, and sometimes we miss this, is I just created another leader.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that woman, L, right? L is now able, when somebody younger comes in and they're struggling, L gets to say, you know what worked for me once? Oh, I know what works for me. You know what somebody shared with me once, right? And don't we strengthen our companies? Because again, I'm not about creating followers. How do I create more leaders? And you become, omnipresent. You're everywhere, not because you are, but because you mentored and created that next batch of leaders who continue to lift up and grow your company.
Wow. So much value that we're getting here. Because I just wrote down a note here, and I
Yeah.
wrote down vulnerable. And I think that's the difference sometimes between, that four-letter word boss and influence and leader is, people thought it was from the top, but there's that girl, L, just became a leader, whether she knew it or not.
Whether she knew it or not.
And she gave somebody something by saying, you know what, I was exactly where you are, vulnerability. Here's the things that I learned, and that could help you too. So whereas somebody that would whatever they had, I've had hangups in my life where I figured that I had to be represented or seen as more powerful, better than I was, and forgot about just being authentic and vulnerable. But that by being vulnerable first, people will connect with you. I think anytime that I've seen great leaders, they've always shown their past and their vulnerability and their mistakes.
Right. Well, because now it makes us both human, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Makes us both human. I love
So
that.
how do you, like, as we talked a little bit, we sort of glanced by the word accountability.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting topic. Because often, I know about you, but years back, when somebody holding accountable was going to the principal's office, it was getting called, hey, can I talk to you for just a minute?
Sure.
So what is your advice to people, whether you're the owner, whether you're peer-to-peer in the salon or whatever, but you see something where you need to hold somebody accountable for something, and it sometimes can be really fearful for a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah.
What's your advice for them? How do you tell them what would be the approach you'd take?
So the approach is, let's use L again as an example, right? So at the end of that conversation I had with L, we had a plan, right? A plan was to get from 102 to 100, I think it was 26, 124, I forgot, it's been a while now. But she had to go from 102 to 124, $126 average ticket to get out of her grandmother's basement. Now, I'll admit, I did not check in with her, right? She ended up grabbing me as I was walking through. I generally don't coach our staff members one-on-one. I manage our managers, right?
Yeah, the managers do it.
And the managers do it. But that particular location was in an interim place where we didn't have a manager, so I was kind of filling in, right?
Yeah.
And shame on me for not following up with L. But if I was as good as I like to say I am, I would have followed up with L and said, L, I checked your numbers, right? Your average ticket goal was $124. You're at 118. You're not there yet, right? How can I help? Where are you stuck? How do I support you, right?
Yeah.
That's accountability because I noticed, right? First off, John's watching, and not in a mean way, in a way of, how do I support you? How do you grow? And secondly, I'm holding you accountable to what you wanted to do, not what I wanted, right?
Yeah.
So accountability isn't, hey, you're not doing this, let me punish you, right? Accountability is, this is what you wanted. I'm here to help you. You're not helping yourself. All I'm doing is holding up a mirror.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? And if you got a soul, you're going to go, I don't like what I see.
Yeah.
Right? Thanks, John. Hey, you know what? What advice, because I'm stuck? What can you help me with, because I'm stuck? Can we talk some more, because I'm stuck? Sure, love to. Right? Now let's pretend for a minute, let's go crazy. You hold up that mirror and they don't care.
Right.
That's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Right? Where if Chris says, I want a 1972 Eldorado with the dual front disc in the front and the double shoe rear brake, and I'm going to save up some money and I'm going to do this, and I check in with you 6 months later and you still haven't saved up that money, either A, you really didn't want that motorcycle, or two, you plain just don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either way, you have to make a decision if you want that person in your company.
Bingo.
And I think that's the challenge we have, is that we have people in our lives, not just our companies, that aren't living up to their expectations for themselves. We continue to surround ourselves with them, and we're too afraid to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And so we wait till the emotion kicks in, till we get angry, till we get upset. Our courage comes from our anger, not from a place of, my courage comes from I want to help you, not because I'm mad at you.
Yeah.
That's a different accountability.
Yeah. Do you think that, and I'm going to take that and make it really specific, meaning I get angry as the owner, as the leader, because you're not living up to what you said you wanted to do.
Right.
And I know times in my life, hi, my name is Chris, and I get angry, you know.
Right.
But when you do come in from a place of anger, it often, I think, it's just because you waited. And I'm only speaking for me. I waited too damn long.
You waited too long.
And it festered, and it probably showed that I was angry, but I was being passively aggressive. And then all of a sudden that person even is performing less because of my actions as the leader, as opposed to just nipping in the bud right away. Or as I always love it, like Sam B always says, nip it in the butt. I'm going, well, that's a different kind of correction, but
sure.
We'll go with that.
Well, think about it for a minute. Who's the anger about? It's about you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How does anger and an emotion that's about me help you? The answer is it doesn't, right? So we call it, in our company, we call it being direct but kind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, I noticed that you're not quite hitting your average ticket goal. I see that you're stuck. That's pretty direct. There's no sugarcoating it there. Right?
Yep.
But with kindness, how do I help you? What do you need for support? You know, how can I help you get to where you want to be?
Yeah, true. Very, very true.
Yeah. And that's a different approach to leadership.
Yeah. Because I think that's, and maybe this, because I don't know where the hell the time is going, but
Sure.
I just want to, sometimes, what do you think it is about, how important is values with the company? Because this is another word that gets passed around a lot.
Oh, yeah.
A value, and I don't mean value as in the dollar sense. I mean value is, what is my personal values, and do my values align with the people that are around me? What's your thoughts on that?
So one of the things that we spend a lot of time on in our company and when we work with other people is we spend a lot of time talking about culture, right? And that's another one of those coaching words that gets tossed around all over the place, right? Culture comes from two things, right? It comes from having a vision, right? Where are we going? And it comes from your values, because your values are how you do things. So vision is where we're going. Values is how we're going to do it. You with me?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So for me, teamwork is one of our values in our company. So if I see Chris doing something that exemplifies teamwork, I'm going to walk up to Chris and say, Chris, I love the teamwork you just displayed. So-and-so needed a hand. You didn't even wait to hop in. You just went in there and did it. Love that. That's awesome teamwork. I'm proud of you. Thank you for doing that. Right? And the reverse happens. Chris, I got a challenge. What's your challenge, John? I saw this, I saw that, and then this is what happened. Teamwork is one of our core values. I don't really think those actions exemplify teamwork. Direct but kind.
Yeah.
Right? And then Chris may say, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
That wasn't good teamwork, and I'm sorry. Or, as silly as this may sound, they give you a really hard time about it. If somebody gives me a really hard time about one of our values, then with kindness, they don't belong here.
Yeah.
Right? We have to agree. Not that our values are all the same. I don't want clones. We got 200 people in our company. I don't want 200 people who are exactly the same. That's boring, right? Yeah. And all 200 people don't have the same values, right? But our values have to align. In other words, teamwork is a value that's important to us as a company. Now, if you say teamwork is stupid, I'm going to say, Chris, you don't belong here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you say, you know what, teamwork's not one of my values, but I can appreciate it, we're good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if we're going to create a culture is a group of people who agree that we're all going in the same direction. We all want to go here. Silliness. We're going to Florida. Great. Are we going to Disney or are we going to the beach? Two different things.
Definition.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So if I want to go to the beach, I want a bus full of people who want to go to the beach. How are we going to get there? We're going to do it through teamwork, purposefulness, family, all our core values, right?
Yep.
Clear vision, aligned values. I didn't say the same values. I just said that we can agree that these are our company values, whatever they are, and we agree that we can all live with those. If you look at the values and say, nah, that's not me, that's okay. That's not a judgment. It's just, you don't belong here.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I'm going through some of this with different companies on creating a value.
Yeah.
And called different things, but a code of honor, things you do, not policies and procedures, but an honor code that you live by in your team. Mm-hmm. Is that I think one of the biggest mistakes that is made, just like what you said about teamwork, is you can say teamwork is there, and I could go, well, teamwork and the way I feel about teamwork is great, because I think that teamwork means that I can get to do what I want to do, and you get to do what you want to do, and that's where we're on a team. But I can do what I want to do, and you get to do what you want to do. And if the real meaning of it is that we're collaborative, we work together, we check out one another, we don't leave any person behind at the end of the day, you've got a different definition to what your values are, and that's where you're going to end up with problems.
Yeah, we actually have our 6 core values. We define each of them.
Good.
So each core values has a definition. Teamwork, let's use that as an example. I'll say to somebody, what do you think about teamwork? Oh, yeah, whenever I ask Chris for help, he gives me a hand. That's not teamwork.
Yeah.
That's called being polite. Teamwork is Chris did something for me before I asked him.
Yeah.
Before I even knew I needed his help, Chris jumped in and did it. That's teamwork.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds silly, but there's a difference between teamwork and being polite. They're two different things. And if we don't share that definition up front, no one's fault, but Chris isn't a good team player. Well, you never told him what we meant by teamwork,
Yes.
So, of course he's going to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, and it all kind of a big spin, isn't it? It's all just about how are you developing your team or participating as a team from a personal development view, as well as just giving out and barking out orders. John, I don't know where the hell time goes, but I can understand why you've got 200 people working around you because of you and the other leadership team that you have. I can also understand why when I see you at shows and you're doing a class on leadership and everything that you know, why people are out there wanting to know and to get to touch you, because I think that's part of being a true leader. So I think we have to have you back on and talk more about this because I just think there's been so much value that people got out of this, and I want to do that. But I'm going to jump into our kind of our rapid fire
Love
stuff
it.
right now.
Let's do
okay?
it. Yeah.
So just first thing that comes to your brain right off at, if they've got choices, just the one that first one hits you. What turns you on in the creative process?
Looking back at it and going, I did that.
Love it. Yeah. What stifles creativity for you?
Micromanagement. Yeah.
Love it. Things that you love in life the most?
Ice
can't
cream.
Say you're Moto Guzzi.
Well, I'll put them in order. My wife, ice cream, Moto Guzzi's.
There you go.
Yep.
And I apologize for saying Moto Guzzi instead of Guzzi. My bad.
That's all right.
And the thing in life that you dislike the most?
Negativity. When there's negativity in the room, and somebody mentioned this to me the other day, I physically have to leave. And it's interesting that it happens. I'll actually physically leave the area, and I don't even know I'm doing it because it's that abhorrent to me.
Yeah,
like, I got to go.
Love it. What do you love most about our industry?
The people.
And what do you dislike the most?
I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know it's rapid fire, but there is this trend for influencers in our industry to be negative because that negativity creates clicks, views, and comments on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. So, how I feel about negativity to begin with. And now that some folks, and I'm painting the world with a wide brush, I get it. But when we use negativity as a vehicle for expanding our reach, this makes me terribly uncomfortable and sad.
Thank you. Person you admire the most?
That list is long. I'm going to say my mom. Yeah.
Wise choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the second person is going to be my mother-in-law, who I adore. Yeah.
Boy, you just got, I realize it wasn't 4 brownie points, but you got some brownie points there.
Well, neither my mom has passed, and my mother-in-law doesn't listen to podcasts, so it's not going to get me any brownie points.
Well, give me your number. Give me her number, and I'll forward it on. Just that clip.
Yeah.
Your most prized possession?
My wedding ring.
Oh, nice. Person you wish you could meet, living or dead?
Ooh, Ben Franklin.
Something people don't know about you?
Ooh. I don't know an answer for that one.
Something that if you had a month off, where would you go? What would you do?
I would go to Italy. I would take my wife. We would rent a motorcycle, and we would tour the countryside.
Love it. Can I come along with you on that one?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something that terrifies you?
Ooh. This is twisted. Getting sick and dying a slow, painful death.
Oh, well, wow. You got me on that one.
Yeah.
Favorite curse word?
It's the F-bomb, but you got to say it with an Irish accent.
Oh.
I never heard something so musical as somebody with an Irish accent saying fuck. It was beautiful.
Can you do your best
I can't
or
do an
worst
Irish accent. No.
Well, there it is, lad. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, see, it's just beautiful. I don't know what it is.
Your favorite comfort food?
When I make my own tiramisu.
Oh. Something in the industry that you haven't done but you want to?
I don't think there's much on that list. I've been doing hair for 25 years. I owned a salon. I get to work within a great company I work on now. We've got a podcast. We've got a coaching company. What's left?
There we go.
Yeah.
I'll put one out there for you. You're gonna host Naha, or you're gonna host one of the favorite. I know what it is. I'm gonna get this aspiration for you.
Okay.
You're gonna have your own TV program on leadership and how to help and save and let the people see the true meaning of what's happening in our industry.
Love it. Thank you.
A do-over. One do-over.
I was going to say I didn't something people don't know about me. I didn't get married till I was 47. So there's that. I don't think I would have done it sooner, because I would have gotten to meet my wife sooner. But I don't know that I would have been the same person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
all good.
Yeah.
Okay. Tomorrow you couldn't do hair. Or have
sorry,
anything
what?
to do. Tomorrow you couldn't do hair, couldn't have anything to do with our industry. What would you do?
I want to build houses.
Ooh, I love it.
I want to know how to swing a hammer and build a house from the ground up.
Love it. Okay, I've got one more question, but just before I ask you that question, if people want to get a hold of you and they want to have a class with you, they want to know advice or things that they can do, how do they get a hold of you? What would you tell them to do?
Two things. One, you can reach out to us at 124go.com. It's the name of our coaching and consulting company. And on social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all the things, I'm No Indoor Voice.
I love it.
Surprise.
No Indoor Voice.
Yeah, and that's on all social media platforms. You can find me there.
Okay, I love when people come up with give us the interesting part of why the No Indoor Voice. Where did that come from?
Because when your staff tells you that they know you're in the building before they see you, that's why. I knew you were here. I could hear you. I just couldn't see you.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
One wish that you had for our industry, what would it be?
Let's start working together. Let's be the powerful, amazing group of people that we are, and let's stop with the negativity. Let's stop with working against each other. Let's work with each other.
Love it.
Yeah.
John, you are an amazing human being. You exemplify mentorship because you give value regardless of where you go and what you do. And I just want to say, for being on Headcases, I just want to say thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Chris, thank you so much. And that goes both ways. You've been a great supporter of our industry, and we wouldn't be as good as we are without you. So thank you.
Well, that's mutual, my friend. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks again for watching this episode. And if you liked what you heard, remember to smash that like or follow button, depending on your preferred platform. And make sure to share it with anyone you know that might be a fellow Headcase. Headcases is produced by Cut Action Media, with Marjorie Phillips doing the planning parts, Lee Baran on the video bits, and Adrian Taverner mixing the audio jazz.